Hey, what's good, everybody? It's me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, and you're watching Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Joining me, as always, are my co-hosts from the Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks podcast, Rebellious D and Double OT, Terrific Trav. Fellas, what is good? How y'all doing today?
Hey,
where's that rasp at, D? Hit him with the rasp.
Where's that smile at now?
Yeah, yeah. Just chilling, guys.
That's right.
Just chilling.
That's right.
So joining us on today's interview is professional voice actor, awesome person. This is my first time meeting him. Trav, he hyped him up. He said he's been talking to him and whatnot. And, Trav slid into the DMs and he said, no, I'm ready to come on and be interviewed. And that is voice actor Isaac Robinson Smith.
What's up?
What's up?
Hey.
How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I'm feeling good. This is great. I love it already. I'm already excited.
I'm feeling good too.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. What song was that where it's like feeling good, feeling great? What song was that?
I don't know. I thought you was going to say
Snoop Dogg song.
Sounds like Outkast, to be honest.
Outkast. There we go.
I was thinking
Outkast,
So Fresh, So Clean. But...
Yeah, it might be So
speaker
Fresh,
box.
So Clean. Yeah, it is on speaker box. Thank you, D. I really appreciate that.
Hey, thanks, D.
Isaac, thank you so much for joining us up here on another episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. We really appreciate it. So before we get into today's interview, everybody that's watching, make sure that you like this video, you subscribe to the channel, and you hit that bell button so that way you're always notified when we have new content here on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. And D, like you always say,
podcast in the description. Like, follow, subscribe to the channel, and thank you all for watching and listening.
Man.
Yeah.
And Trav, before we get into it, your words of wisdom.
My words of wisdom. Hey, kids, stay in school, baby.
Ooh, classic.
He
pulled the ace off the top.
Hey, look, man, I'm about to get Trav a shirt, and it's gonna be like the Dare shirts that we had when we were kids. And it's gonna have Trav up there, and it's just gonna say Trav, TRAV. But Trav, what would the TRAV stand for? Terrific.
Terrific,
ravishing, awesome,
and exuberant,
victorious,
vibrant, victorious. I like that.
Victorious.
Woo! He said vibrant.
So Isaac.
Yes.
The first question that I do when we start these interviews off is I always ask, what is your origin story? Every hero or villain has one. Tell everybody who Isaac Robinson Smith is.
All right, I will. Can I tell the hero and villain version? You said hero or villain.
Oh, wow. Dang,
Earth 2 and Earth 1?
It's
I like it.
Banks always talks about the books where it says, if you want to do this, go to page 79.
Right, I missed those.
Go to page 150.
Yeah, well, all right, I'll go with what I know. So I grew up in Sacramento, California, Northern California. And since I was like 2, I've always loved sound. Anything with sound or music or anything in that world, anything sonically was just fascinating to me. Like I've been singing since I was a kid. I played violin for 6 years. I play piano. I still do. I have for about 10 plus years. And so I love anything. I love film scores, all that stuff, music in general. Like I have a huge palette for music. But one of the things I loved was trying to copy the things that I heard when I was a kid. So my mom raised me in the theater. So I was born basically knowing about the stage life and musical theater and all that stuff and wanting to be on stage. And when I was listening to cartoons as a kid, actually didn't even start with cartoons. It started with my mom's voice. I would try to imitate my mom's voice. That was the first voice I ever tried. And I couldn't really speak yet, so I could just sort of... when I hear people talking, I hear music. I don't hear speech, so I can hear the melody and what people are saying rather than... That's like more important to me than the words sometimes. So I was copying the melody of her speech, but I couldn't really say words, so I would just kind of like imitate the intonation, but I could copy that exactly. And that sort of translated over to, watching Disney movies as a kid and cartoons growing up with my brother. I would always listen and try to imitate what I heard. And it just started off as a hobby for me. And it really wasn't anything that I thought was super cool. It was just like, I just loved I watched Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! With my brother, and we would like make up our own episodes and everything. And I just thought it was just something I did on my own. And then in high school, I started to tell my friends, or I told my friends at one lunch period that like I could do some of the impressions from SpongeBob SquarePants. They were like, what? And I was like, yeah, I can do like I did Squidward's laugh. I think it was the very first like voice I ever did for anyone other than my family. And their faces like perked up and they started laughing, and I was like, oh, this has a lot of power to it. And I didn't really understand that at the time. But then I became the guy at high school that did voices. That was kind of the thing, along with performing, because I went to performing arts high school. But it was in high school where I watched a show called Inside the Actors Studio with James Lipton, and he interviewed the Simpsons cast. And the second I saw those human beings creating those voices that I knew so well from TV, everything just made sense. Like in 2 seconds, it was like performing and sound and voices and acting, like everything just like, oh, that I want to do that. That's the job that I want. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know how to really pursue it yet. I just knew that they're doing what I want to do, and I didn't really know it until that moment. And then college, I did theater classes and did musical theater classes and continued that training, but I started to look into voiceover and take acting classes in that way. And then I had a lot of failure of auditioning for different agents and trying to get places. And then I got lucky. I started working at Disneyland in 2010 while I was in college, and I took a class for voiceover with the casting director of Imagineering. And I emailed him every couple of weeks after that class. And I was like, I'm really serious about this. Like, I really want to do this. And then in Spanish class in my last year of college, he sent me an email that said, I have a job for Walt Disney World for voices in an Epcot attraction. If you want to do it, I'll give you $500. And I was like, absolutely. And that was my very first professional voiceover job I ever had, was for Disney Imagineering.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
And that was 10 years ago. So 2012. So cut to 4 years after that and more classes. I got my demo done. I got my agent, SBV, who I'm still with, and they're wonderful. And then this is a very fast version bringing up to now. I'm now a professional voice actor. That's all that I do. I worked at Universal and Disneyland at the same time for about 11 years, doing performance and I did a lot of different roles performance-wise while I was there. But within the last 8 months, I left both of those. I have left both of those places in the last year or 2 years, and now I am solely a voice actor, which has always been what I wanted. And I'm represented by SAG-AFTRA, so I do union work, and that's where I am now. And now this is my studio you're looking at right now is my home studio, where I work about 50% of the time, and then I work in studios around my apartment. The other part. So that's the short version of how I got here. So,
and that was a nice origin story.
Yeah,
now,
we love the origins.
Before we move on, man, hey, I'm gonna need you to give your mom a shout out because
always. Listen, I always in every show I do everything that she's the reason why I have this career, because she was the one that since day one has been supportive of a life in the arts. I know that there are a lot of people that I know and have heard about, friends of mine who weren't as lucky as me, because a lot of parents will say, well, have a backup plan, or have a fallback. But because she was an actor, taught theater her whole life, and was involved in the arts so richly throughout her own life, there was never any question. All of us, I have 3 siblings, all of us have done something in the arts or still do something in the arts. And so she was the one that was like, no, you want to major in theater? Great. That's what, that's what our family does. And so there was never pushback, and there's been consistent support, and there still is today. I talk to her all the time, and she is the reason for all of this. So yes, I always want credit.
That's
one time I mimicked my mom.
Right. Yeah, it's like got the opposite.
I mean, like, and to piggyback off of what Trav said, because Trav, he doesn't like when I say this, but I'm a professional wrestler. And
I know, I love when you say it. So.
Oh, you do love when I say, okay, so it's just like, a lot of the times where my mom used to give me, ass whoopings, I do that in the ring now. So it's like, I guess you could say I mimic my mom.
Yeah,
too, but it's like, I just wanted to say, I agree with you when you say that, like, it's good to have that support system. Because like you said, some people, it's like they don't have it. But when you have somebody that's in your corner, like my mom, when she was still living here, she lives out of the country now. It's like she came to every wrestling show that I had. When I did stand-up comedy, she came to every stand-up comedy performance that I had. And it's like, I was happy to have her here and do that stuff for me. And I already know when she comes back home, like, it's going to be the same thing. She's going to be at every show. So like, I agree. It's like, and you need that support and you need that push, because like they always say, if there isn't anybody that supports you, your mom's always gonna support you.
Right,
You know
exactly.
Yeah.
Say that? That's a saying?
Yeah.
That's the first
Yeah.
time I'm
Never
hearing
heard
it.
it?
That's why
I feel like I've never heard that in my life.
Oh, dang, Brad. Oh, well,
You know, try and wait.
yeah, I know he was waiting, but
Wait.
you know, I wanted to also piggyback off of, you know, how you were saying when you were in school and like you used to, you know, voice match the characters from SpongeBob, and like just looking at your resume and like seeing the stuff that you've done, you know, being able to, you know, voice Chadwick Boseman, like, you know, rest in peace.
Yeah, that's a whole story I can go into in a little bit. It's awesome. But yeah, anyway.
Hey, well, I mean, we're here, man. And, you know, I was just about to name some of the other, you know, characters that you voiced and whatnot. But I mean, go ahead and let's hear about it, because we love Chadwick Boseman.
Oh,
when he passed away before D joined us, we did an entire episode dedicated to him. So yeah.
Well, listen, I have Chadwick to thank, not only for one of the most important voiceover jobs in my entire career so far, but also for a life lesson in what it really means to be a leader and have power, and what that means. And I'll explain that. When I got the role, it was kind of not exactly on accident, but it was in response to this is another lesson that I try to talk to people about, is the great reward of having gratitude and paying it forward, especially in voiceover. I heard about this opportunity because I was talking to my friend Brian, who's the casting director at Imagineering, and I told him about my friend AJ, who is a native to the UK, so he's got a natural British accent. And I was like, my friend AJ would be great to have on your roster for any attractions you're working on that need a British voice. But AJ's a great improv guy, performer, voice, all this stuff. And so I sent it off, and I was just checking in with Brian like I usually do. And he said, and also I said at the end, I was like, and if there are any opportunities you know about, let me know, like usual. And he said, wow, I have to laugh because you spent like half this email talking about your friend AJ, but I do have something we're working on. We're building an Avengers show in California Adventure, and Black Panther is part of it. He needs to speak as part of this show. And the email said, right now, Marvel has no one approved to be a sound-alike for Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther. So if there's an impression you do of T'Challa that's really good, send us a sample, and we'll see what happens. And I furiously read that, and then got to my computer and went online, got a ton of clips from luckily I've done a lot of like not really super serious video editing, but I knew how to take YouTube videos, extract the audio, put it into Twisted Wave, which is the editing program I use. I created my own sample reel of his voice, which I matched to the best of my ability, sent it to him, and about 2 days later, or about an hour later, he said, well, it's a yes from me, but we have to check with the Marvel team to make sure they approve it. And about 2 days later, it was on Friday, I think, I got an email that said, great news, they want to work with you. Here's what we're going to do for it. We also want you to work with this woman named Beth McGuire. And Beth is a theater professor at Yale. And she is the dialect coach for the Black Panther films. So she was on set and knew everybody in that cast. So she was friends with Chadwick for, the years they were filming, and everybody that worked on that. So I was already excited because I was like, I got the job. I can't believe it. This legacy. And I get to work with the woman who knew this voice inside and out for the whole time they were filming. So it got to the time where we were going to do our one-on-one sessions with Beth, because she wanted me to do 2. And not only was it the voice matching, but it was also the cadence of the accent and the specificity of the language and the music of the language. And so she had me watch not only Chadwick, but also clips of Nelson Mandela, who's the same accent that we were going for, which is some of the same training I think Chadwick got when he was learning the voice. And I believe, if I'm correct, I remember, this is so cool, just Chadwick, his integrity with what he wanted to present on screen for that movie, because the actor who plays T'Chaka, his father, naturally has that accent that they use in the film. Right. And I think he was a really huge proponent of making sure the actors matched that, and it wasn't some random, African thing. It's like, no, match who the king already is. We have to. Yeah. So that was really awesome. So the way that she got me into character, after we kind of understood what the voice was she wanted me to create what I categorize as emotional anchors. So we would choose lines that would emotionally anchor me to a certain kind of mentality that I could springboard off of to use for lines in the show that I was recording. So we chose a line that I could say that would get me in the mindset as if I were talking to Shuri or some part of the family, or if I was talking to the army, or a very statesman-like, king-like thing. And the thing I talked about power a minute ago, which was really a big lesson just for me in life, was knowing that, or seeing and learning that to have power in a room is not moving forward and yelling and taking up the space. It's leaning back and talking as loud or as quietly as you want to, knowing that you have the power in the room and people naturally lean towards you. That's the person that you like are gravitating toward, is the person that's not trying to capture the room. Person that's like, I've got this and I know who I am. And that's what Black Panther is. And so that mentality was taught to me. So that was a big thing. But probably the biggest influence or biggest impact I had was 2 experiences while I was working with Beth. One was the emotional anchor for the battle cry, we call the battle cry line, was when he says, I never yielded it, as you can see, I'm not dead. And come back and fight Killmonger. We all know that scene.
Yeah. I thought you were about to say the line.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I will do that in a minute. But so we chose that, and Beth was on Zoom with me like this, and she said, I'm sorry, I need to just excuse myself for a minute. She came back onto the Zoom call completely in tears, just broken down. And she said, you have to understand that, because everybody knows about Chadwick was suffering from, cancer for those, years that he was filming that movie and others. And so she said, what you need to understand is, and I believe things happen for a reason. So she said, the line that you chose, this battle cry line, you have to know that that's not only an amazing triumphant moment for the character, but this is also just Chadwick speaking his truth in this moment, looking at the world and saying, I never yielded. And as you can see, I'm not dead. And immediately that took me to a whole other emotional plane. I was like, I get the character now. I understand what that power is, where that's coming from, what Chadwick was doing with it. And so that, I will never forget that moment, and what that made me understand him and Black Panther in a way that I never did until I worked with her. The second thing that happened was the actual session, where I was super happy because, getting paid to say Wakanda Forever as Black Panther is like the most amazing. I still can't believe it.
Right.
I listened to the Avengers theme all the way to the session and all the way home in my car. And one of the times they had me say Wakanda Forever was in a more reverent tone. They said, imagine the guests that are down there, say it to them. Imagine that. And the really powerful image that I remember from that specific part of the session, which is, the other stuff was great, but this one was important to me because the image that immediately came to my mind was all of the Black kids that are going to come to this park like I did when I was little, and finally see someone in such a high esteem and so powerful that they can look up to, and knowing that I'm a part of bringing that joy to them, no matter who they are and for however many years this show exists. But knowing that I'm a piece of that was just, it goes beyond a paycheck for me in that moment. And it usually does with all this work. So,
oh yeah.
But that's the Black Panther story, and that's why it means so much to me, and what happened with it. So that's how I got it and what it means to me.
That was
That's amazing. That is amazing.
Dang, I know we was going to get so emotional.
Yeah.
Jesus, boys.
Tearjerker.
Yeah.
It's just so crazy, hearing that, because I had just watched Black Panther again before Atlanta season 2 had started, and I don't know if you guys watched the first episode, but in the first episode I said season 2 of Atlanta.
I was about to say,
season,
you talking about
season 3?
It's...
Yeah, season 3. Sorry, but in the episode, the kids were going on a field trip to see Black Panther 2. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man.
And
Yeah.
they showed Black Panther before that episode came on. So of course it makes sense. And when I was watching the episode, not the episode, the movie, it got to the part where he was just like, I never yielded. And I was just like, man, I really miss Chadwick, It's
right.
It's crazy. I mean,
he was powerful in that role.
Yeah, incredible.
Super
actor.
powerful.
Oh, absolutely incredible. Yeah.
And I think it's awesome that that you can do this role, and how you were just saying about the kids that come to the park and everything, and they hear that, and it's just man, this is awesome, because you never know who you're inspiring. And I always think that we are all inspirational to someone, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So something that I wanted to piggyback off of and ask you about the Black Panther thing, because you did some work in Marvel What If, and I remember when we were doing reviews for that show, I was just like, man, like I would get sad when I would watch the episodes that Chadwick was in, because I'm just like, if they do a season 2 and the season 2 is coming out, I'm just like, I hope that they don't kill his character off, because there's at certain, like all of the episodes always ended on cliffhangers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, with you doing the voice and, you know, just getting so much praise and whatnot, you know, if the opportunity is there, I hope that you get it, man.
Yeah, I'm letting that, you know, one of the things I'm letting that come as it is. You know, I'm using that, and I do have that in my mind. So hopefully that opportunity comes my way. I'm not gonna, like, you know, try to seek it out or anything, but it would be amazing. And I'm just really happy that I've gotten to do this for this park, and then a couple other projects that I can't talk about yet, not on television, but you know, I've gotten to reprise it. And also, I don't know technologically if this will work necessarily, but I have my original audition here. If you want to hear what it was,
of course,
sure.
Yeah, we can. Yeah. Are you gonna play it right now, or did you want to play it after the episode?
We can do it after, whenever. I'm just letting you know that is an option. I just remember that I had it, so
that's pretty cool.
Hey, that's pretty cool. An exclusive Trav, so that way, you know, we can add it to everything, man. But that's awesome. I think that's super awesome. Now, you know, I've been talking a lot. The guys already know that's what I do here. So I wanted to pass the ball. Because I had another question, but I was just like, yo, I've been asking all the questions.
Go ahead and ask.
No. I'm passing the ball. And let's see. D, go ahead.
Isaac, this is since you've been a part of the Black Panther in a way.
Yeah.
You know, childhood superhero. Who was your guy or girl?
Oh, definitely. It was Spider-Man for me. Still is.
Easy. I mean, yeah. I just watched it. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's. I mean, it's evolved now that I'm aware of him. You know, more. It's like Spider-Man and Miles Morales are the two. But Spider-Man, for me growing up, because I went through a period of my life. My parents were divorced when I was 12, and at that point, the original Spider-Man came out in theaters, and the world of Marvel was opened up for me. And the way that I felt watching that movie, hearing that score, seeing what the character you could be anybody underneath that suit, which is what Stan's whole philosophy was with him. So that's why, and he was a nerd. That like everything about it was just so. I was like, he's me. So I grew up loving him. Still, that was my childhood superhero
for sure. Yeah. Now, here's another piggyback question. Since that was your pick,
okay,
who's your favorite on the big screen to do it so far?
Dang.
Tough call.
Yeah,
I know. No, I know.
As Michael once said, life isn't easy.
Yeah, my heart says Tobey Maguire because that's what I saw first, but my probably actual estimation would be Tom Holland because he's the perfect combination of, because I think Tobey was in my opinion, Tobey was a great Peter. Andrew was a great Spider-Man. Tom is a great combination that brings them both in the way that I think.
The way a lot of people break that down. That's interesting. To get another perspective on it. Thanks.
No, I mean that's facts. I mean, I say the same thing all the time. That
you and I have had this conversation.
Yeah, Tobey is a good Peter, and he was an okay Spider-Man. But then Andrew, he was a good Spider-Man. I wasn't really a fan of his Peter because he came off more like a hipster, and
because he's too cool.
Andrew
Garfield's just too cool.
Yeah, he had the slick back.
Fonzie
haircut.
He had the slick back. He wasn't wearing glasses. I was just like, I don't even remember if he was a photographer. Oh yeah, he was.
He was a photographer.
He didn't wear glasses though.
But it wasn't like emphasis on him being a photographer. Like I mean, because even with Tom, like you know, his Spider-Man movies, he's not taking photos or anything. But we'll see now because of he needs a job now.
He is broke.
Yeah. So, but no, I 100% agree, and I'm glad that you did say Spider-Man, Isaac. And I had just saw an article earlier where Sam Raimi said that he's down to do another Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'd be down for seeing that. I'd be down for seeing like a legit Amazing Spider-Man 3 because Andrew Garfield got so much praise for Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. I'm sorry. But no, I mean, and I know you have some people out there saying like, oh, like now y'all want Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, and it wasn't his fault that those movies weren't that good. You know,
that first one's amazing.
I wouldn't
don't say those movies. The second one, I'll give it to you. That first one,
we'll have to talk.
I really like that first Amazing Spider-Man movie.
It was okay.
But I'll be honest with
terrible.
you, anything Andrew Garfield does, I'm gonna eat up anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
I mean I'm such a huge Andrew Garfield fan, so
you know, Isaac, with you being, you know, in the theater and whatnot, the movie Tick Tick Boom came out with Garfield. Did you have a chance to watch that?
I was in a production of Tick Tick Boom before that movie came out. I played Jonathan Larson
he
on
beat
stage.
You to it, man.
Yeah, you beat him to it.
Yeah, so I have not seen the movie yet because we were in production in late 2021. There was the whole Delta variant, so it shut our production down because I got COVID January 1st.
And we all did. Hey, I got it too, man. It was a nationwide thing, bro.
Yeah.
And nationwide was not on our side.
No, not that day. No. I have played Jonathan. So I still have to see the movie, but I can't wait because I do hear that it's amazing. I just didn't want to watch it because I didn't want it to influence my own performance.
Absolutely.
Weird like that. So yeah.
I totally get that too.
It's a good way to be, actually.
Trav, I'm sorry to cut you off, but
sure.
It's just like with voice acting, because like, you know, I take voice acting classes with Matthew David Rudd, whose episode that you can check out here on our YouTube channel or listen to it on the podcast. But that was one of the pieces of advice that he was telling us, is that when it comes to voice acting, you should never want to try to imitate somebody's voice when you're, especially like when you're getting into it. It's like you want to be able to do your own voice. But then of course later on down the line, like how you, Isaac, with you doing like the voice matches and whatnot, that's a whole nother ball game.
Yeah,
but
right.
It's like you don't want to come in and be like, yeah, I'm gonna talk like Linda Young as Frieza. It's just like, no, just talk as yourself as Frieza. But Trav, go ahead. What was the question that you were gonna ask?
No, I was gonna say that's for any art form, because it's like when I'm writing with people or like bands are in here recording, there's no music allowed because you don't want to be influenced by other band sounds. So I just think that's across the board. Like
I agree.
Shut yourself off from any influence that you could have so you can create your own thing and do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and what was funny too in the voiceover world with that though, it sometimes can work because sometimes even if your impression of something sucks, it can be a character, you know, because nobody knows.
Sure.
Like Hank Azaria in The Simpsons, a lot of his characters are to him impressions of people, but they come off as, you know, like Chief Wiggum is just a kind of a bad Edward G. Robinson impression, and Mo the bartender is like kind of a bad Al Pacino impression. Like they're all impressions to him, but they come off as these amazing characters. So
Mike Judge does that with King of the Hill, except
does he?
with real people. So like,
they're
impressions of real people from his life.
Yes,
so you wouldn't know they're impressions, but they're actually impressions.
Yeah.
People that he's met along the way.
Yeah.
So just like when we do Michael's voice, for example.
Yeah.
Like
Blumhauser's a real guy that he knew to but just over exaggerated, obviously.
Of course.
Sure.
Yeah. Jesus.
I do want to stick on the theater topic for a little bit, because that was that's just so exciting to me. And you know, now that obviously COVID's not gone away, but it's a little bit in the rear view.
Yeah.
Where, you know, we're able to move forward. We're getting the cures now, baby. They hit
exactly.
So we're ready to move forward. And I was checking out I think it's called The Review. Is that
The Review? That's how you say it. Yeah.
It's spelled so weird. And this is like when I watched the trailer for it, I was like, this is the silliest thing ever. And if you just want to explain to people listening like what this is, because I was literally cheesing the whole time I was watching this trailer, because I was like, this is awesome.
You know what I mean? So, it is such a silly thing, but it's so brilliant. So it's written by a guy named Jim Dooley. It's called The Review.
The legend.
Yeah. So Jim worked on the score for Pushing Daisies. If anybody listening watched that show, he did the score for that. He's done TV scores and a lot of composing for many things. He knows a lot of really, you know, big people. He composed this show and wrote this show about a director and a producer who are desperately trying to save their dying theater by making money as fast as possible. And so the solution they come up with is to make musicals out of movies that have already made money. You know, why not? You know, they've already successful, might as well piggyback off of their success. So basically, yes. So basically the concept is the producer and director say, hey, why don't we try this? Or they talk about it in really funny scenes. And they say, well, let's see a sample of this. And so basically then the four of us come out, the musical theater performers come out, and we do a scene or a song from that in various combinations, a scene or a song from that movie. But it's not movies you'd expect. Like we did like Castaway and Dumb and Dumber and Die Hard and Spaceballs and Titanic and Jurassic Park and like just movies. And it's so funny because the sets and costumes are very minimal. And everything is supposed to look, you know, it's enough of a familiarity that you know what's happening, but it's not so dressed up that it looks like super pro. And that's the whole point. It's supposed to be like very quick. But the whole idea that Jim had, which I think is brilliant, is that he wants it to go off Broadway, and he wants it to be a new song inserted every week and then a new show every month, because he wrote 50 songs for this thing. We did 17 of them. And then it was directed by the brilliant Matt Walker, who is the founder of the Troubadour Theater Company in LA, the like legendary musical parody theater company. It's been very, very famous and really well known. And so it was just really fun. But yeah, I never thought that I would be in a Dorothy Gale dress with a toy Toto, rapping Hamilton style the story of Wizard of Oz. Like,
right.
When I stop and look at what I'm doing, it's really weird. But it was, you know, moments like that are great. So that's what the review is. And we only ran for 2 weekends, so it was a very short run because it was only supposed to sort of like test it out. But we got really good response, and Broadway World came to see it, and they really liked it a lot. And everybody that came was like, this is such a great, fun show. And probably one of the best responses was from my friend's parents, my friend Katie, who was in the show, I think it was her parents that said this, were, you know, they said we haven't laughed like that in a long time. We really needed that. So it was timed very well to what was going on. And then as an added bonus on the voiceover side, I asked and they let me do it. I did the pre-show announcement as Morgan Freeman for our show. They gave me 4 lines of dialogue of things that I had to say for the theater safety and all that. And they said, write whatever you want. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to throw some Shawshank Redemption in there.
Wow.
So like, you know, it was really fun. Man. Yeah.
So that's Sloan.
That's incredible.
So Isaac, I want to ask this question really quick. If
you got serious,
if you had,
he was like, riddle me this.
Take it easy. Yeah, riddle me that. Yeah, got them. No, if you could give one bit of advice for anybody trying to do what you guys do, what would it be?
Don't. I have a couple of thoughts on that. Biggest one is you can't be afraid. The second you show, one of my vocal teacher in high school, one of his famous phrases was, never let him see you sweat. And I think it's one of the best pieces of life advice I ever got, because the second they see you trying, or any kind of desperation or anything, or holding back on letting you fly, that's when it can be not so, especially in animated voiceover. Like, you have to be ready to improvise, try things, characters, all that. But the minute you allow yourself to do that, it's so freeing, because then you can become closer to a part of yourself you didn't really know about until you just open yourself up to the possibility of what you can do, especially in voiceover. So that, I would say. Also, be kind to people. You never know who knows who, or who's going to connect to what. So that, I'm going to come back to that, because there's a story I have with that.
Oh yeah, we can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, and then the third one is gratitude. Every time I post about something on Instagram or talk about something that I've done, I don't come at it from a sense of, look at what I've done, look at what I've accomplished, because no one does this alone. Yeah. There's always people that are there, like we talked about support earlier. So having gratitude can go miles, years ahead, just because you say thank you and show your appreciation for what somebody did to help you get to where you are.
I was going to say, every post you do, there's like a thank you to blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
For, you know, whoever.
You never know.
And just to piggyback off of that, Isaac, whenever I wrestle at a show, like, I always say thank you to the people that serving food, the ticket person, security, because like that stuff goes a long way, because they don't have to be there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's very humbling to, you know, me being a wrestler, just going up to them and saying like, "Thank you for doing this," because it means a lot, you know. So I mean, I 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah. So coming back to being kind, that has led to a lot of the stuff that I do now has been because of relationships that I've built. I mean, auditions, yes, that does happen, but being kind has led to me being involved in all the stuff that I've been involved in and being grateful for it. So it's just been very important to me to see the return on all of that stuff. But the story that I have is actually my friend Bill, who I love this story because he tells it. But it is a story about being kind. And so Bill lived in Pittsburgh, and he wanted to be a voice actor. This is the mid to late 80s. And he moved out to California to be a voice actor. But before that, he was a huge fan of a guy named Jack Wagner, who is the original voice of Disneyland Park. So he's the guy that said, "Ladies and gentlemen, Disneyland has now ended its normal operating day."
Right, gotcha.
That's Jack's voice. So Bill loved that. He's like, "I want to get that job. I have to do it." Moved out to California, and this really small, very independent mom and pop production company said, "Hey, would you like to come work for us and just do some local commercials and things like that?" And Bill said, "Of course I would. You know, I want to get work." So he started to do work for them. And after that period, they said, "You know, you've been so nice to us. We want to make sure we do something nice for you someday." You know, and that was just sort of, a nice thing to say at the end of his time. But he heard back. So the someday was 4 or 5 years after that. 1991 was the someday when somebody called him and said, "Hey, Roland," at that point, the Roland Sound Company had come out with digital technology for editing, and that was brand new at the time in '91. And he was like, "You should come down to the studio. We come over," or call Bill, said, "You should come to the studio. We have this brand new Roland digital equipment that you really would love. We know you're a tech guy. Come and check it out." So he said, "Okay, I'll come in and look at it." So he came to the studio. They were showing him all the new stuff. It was really exciting. And then they said, "We hear you know Jack Wagner." And he said, "No, I actually never met the man, but the man is my hero because Disneyland is so much the better because of what his voice was able to do for it, create all this wonderful feeling and excitement, but, very clear direction of where to go and everything, all that stuff." He said he had all these elements that made it so great to be at the park listening to him. And they said, "Oh, okay, well, why don't you go in there and read this?" And they handed Bill what's called the Lights Out announcement for the Main Street Electrical Parade, which is the announcement that says the lights will soon be dimmed so you can experience, all these things. They said, "Go in there and read that." He went in the booth, he read it. They said, "Okay, try it this way, try it this way." Bill didn't know what was going on. He came out of the booth and he said, what's the deal? And the guy that was talking to him said, "So I don't make the final decision, but by Thursday, you'll know you're the new voice of Disneyland. Jack Wagner is retiring." And that was 31 years ago, and he's still doing it now. All because he was nice to somebody. So
that's it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's an amazing story.
You never know
you don't.
What being
That's why you
kind
pay
to
it forward.
somebody and just being nice can go. I mean, D, we talk about this all the time, man. It's like you never know who you're going to help out, and you never know who you're going to inspire, man.
Yeah, I think with that, I was going to say be kind, and also I think another lesson that I tack onto that for myself is be kind and also know your own value. Don't ever let that go away.
Yes. I 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah,
you should always know your value and whatnot, and never cut yourself short and whatnot. Like that was something that I had learned too in the wrestling business, because when it comes to pay and whatnot, like I remember I had told the promoter this is what I wanted, and then like he had gave me more than what I had asked for, and I was just like, "Hey, I think that it was a mistake. You gave me too much money." And he was just like, "No, I didn't give you too much money. I gave you what I thought that you were worth. And you should always know your worth." And like ever since then, I was just like, man, like I never looked at it like that. So I 100% agree with you on that, Isaac.
Yeah, my man got 3 hot dogs that night instead of 2.
I got 3 hot dogs and 2 handshakes. but since we're on the Disney talk, and Isaac, you said that growing up, Disney was watching the movies was your favorite thing, and then having the opportunity to work at Disneyland.
Yeah,
it's a Saturday night. You'll have nothing to do, and you want to put on your favorite Disney movies. Give me your favorite
Disney
movies. 3. Give us 3.
3.
Yeah,
okay.
No. I always do top 5. I always do top. Look, it could be animated, it could be 3D. Tell me those 5.
Well, I guess I should have asked him what his favorite 10 superheroes were.
Well, usually like when I interview cosplayers and like they always mention like Disney this, Disney that, I always ask them what's their top 5, and it's always a tricky question. So
I'm glad you told him we're here for 3 hours too.
I know. I did. Yeah, we're on. We got 2 hours left. So.
I'll go brew some coffee.
Okay, so that is a tricky question, but I have to say, definitely way up there. I mean, because it's technically a Disney movie, right? So I think Black Panther is up there now because now it exists in the world. But it can kind of be a side one. So I guess if we're just talking straight up like Disney movies, I think Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh, Rocketeer is amazing. I love the score from the Rocketeer.
Yeah, it's a sweet movie.
Yeah, so for me, Pirates of the Caribbean, 2003.
Hear that, Bex?
Amazing.
I just watched that for the first time.
You just watched it this year.
Jack Sparrow is one of my favorite film characters.
Nothing back.
Yeah, exactly. And then probably because of my love of musical theater, because of my mom, I think Mary Poppins is another one for me because it was Walt Disney. It was his favorite, movie that he made. It was his like masterpiece. And so, but there's so many things about it.
It's a classic.
Technologically, performance-wise, that are so still work so well today. So that's definitely up there.
What'd you think Returns?
I liked Returns. I really liked Emily Blunt's take on it.
Did a good job.
I think she did a great job. Yeah. And I think I really liked that there was still some of the original feel that I got from the first movie. I mean, I don't think anything to me can compare to the first one, but there was a little bit of that feeling, especially when you see 90+ Dick Van Dyke dancing on top of a desk. I'm like, that guy knows the secret. And then animated, there are several. But I like some obscure ones, like Atlantis is one of my favorite animated Disney movies.
I just watched that for the first time. It's a good movie.
Which one was it?
Atlantis.
Oh yeah, good movie.
Yeah. I mean, and then I think I just have to lump them together because they're all the 90s Renaissance period. I don't think there was a bad thing in there for me as a kid. Like I learned the seasons. I learned the order of the seasons because of the movie Lion King. I was like, I would ask my mom, "Is Lion King coming out?" And she's like, "No, it's winter. Then it's spring. Then it's summer. Then Lion King comes out." I was like, "Okay, I just gotta wait till summer." And Lion King. Movie. Yeah, and Lion King is big for me because of the journey of what Simba goes through and that whole thing. And I also got to play Simba at Disneyland in Tale of the Lion King in 2019. So I have a special connection.
That's sweet.
Yeah,
it was pretty great. Yeah, had this huge dreads wig. It was great. It was fun.
I know the feeling.
You gotta see the photo.
Yeah, Yeah. The photo. There is a photo on my Instagram. You want to look? There's one up there.
Keep on talking. I'm about to look it up.
Yeah. Scroll down. You'll see me crossed arms in front of the Lion King book. Yeah.
I was gonna say this. You're talking about music scores too. Alan, what's his last name?
Menken.
Who wrote?
Alan Menken.
Yes.
Yeah.
So many good. I mean, there's certain things like Pocahontas is just kind of okay to me. I think it's because of my turmoil with Mel Gibson. You know, as far as him as a person.
Right. I understand.
Complete trash.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pocahontas. I just watched it because me and my girls we're ranking all the 40 Disney animated movies
that's
on my Letterboxd.
That's a journey, yeah.
And when we watched Pocahontas, I was like, this did not age as well.
No, it didn't. Yeah.
But you're right, man. Little Mermaid is still like a top 5 movie. Yeah. Beauty and the Beast, these soundtrack. If anything, if you take away anything, his music is just incredible. And I know a lot of people kind of crap on the Hercules score.
I love it.
The Hercules score,
but
bro.
I love that song that song that he sings. Distance. What is
Go the Distance? Yeah.
Go the Distance.
Go the Distance. It hits me every time.
So look, right. My mom, she took us to go see that movie when it came out, and I remember after watching it, I ran out of the movie theater and I was singing "I Can Go the Distance." Right?
And 20 years later, ain't much change.
But you got to be careful. If you gonna go out
we don't talk about Bruno, good sir.
Hey, but look, my mom, I ran out the theater, and my mom, she came after me, and like I was hyped, and she whooped my ass right in front of everybody.
Excited?
Yeah. Yeah. So the hands came down.
I'm just trying to be like Hercules. He went the distance, but yo, that's a good song though, and also too, Isaac. I love the fit of you as Simba, man. Like that outfit is dope, man.
It's cool, right?
Yeah, it's really dope. I wish that I could share. I mean, I could share right now.
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
I could share it in the video and everything. You know what?
Welcome to 2022.
I'm gonna do it. I mean, like
he's
you guys,
gonna do it.
Everybody that's watching the video, they'll see it. Yeah, they'll see it, and like here it is. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, like, that's it.
Hell yeah.
He looks dope.
Straight
that's a dope outfit, man.
Yeah, what was cool is the way that we did it in the show was we weren't like, not like the Broadway show where they have like the costumes and everything, but we were basically storytellers from Africa that were sort of telling the story of the Lion King as if it was passed down for like 200-300 years. And then we sort of embodied the characters and then kind of came out of that to, finish the show. But it's really cool.
That's pretty sweet.
And it's coming back this summer. I'm bummed that I'm not going to be doing it, but I know I made the choice to move and do what I need to do. So I'm excited for people. Yeah.
Yep. That's a respectful way to say it.
Yeah, but hey, thank you so much for asking my question about like the Disney stuff, because I know that can definitely be a challenge when it comes to picking top 5. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like there's so many. I mean, like some people are like, well, you got to break it down into categories and stuff like that. But I love putting people on the spot. So
yes, he does.
So Trav or D, passing the ball.
No, I was gonna ask.
Go ahead, Trav.
Is there any more theater production you're thinking about?
Not that I'm not pursuing live theater anymore. I never really did except for theme park work. But if it comes my way, I'll do it. Like the Review, awesome. The Troubadour Theater Company, if they ask me to do more shows, I would love to do because I've done a couple with them.
Yeah.
However, if I were asked to, it would be a tougher conversation if Hadestown or Hamilton came my way for any reason.
Hamilton's so good.
Yeah, which I have been up for Hamilton before. I've auditioned for it and gotten a round or two into those auditions. So
for the off-Broadway?
For the touring cast. Yeah.
Oh, for the touring cast. Okay.
Yeah. So that was exciting when I got those calls. But save for those 2 productions, I think I'm not like actively looking for it, but I would love it, and it's where I came from. So it's always gonna be part of me no matter what. And I infuse it in my voiceover because there's so much physicality I have to do to get into certain roles and things. So everything I do on stage, I'm still doing, just not in front of anybody,
Right.
Exactly. That's voice acting. I mean, it's just like you just behind the microphone.
Yeah.
Right.
But you still have to be animated and all that other stuff. It's like you're still acting.
I definitely experienced that with three roles I did in theme parks, actually. I did Turtle Talk with Crush for a couple of years at Disneyland. So that was, experiencing his, totally laid back way of just being, dude. My eyes were closed. And then same thing with the Transformers at Universal. I did the voices of Megatron and Optimus Prime as an improv voiceover actor. And, for Optimus, it was very stoic. And here, I'm telling you what to do. Autobots, transform, and roll out. It was really like just grandfatherly commander. But for Megatron, it was much more in this kind of face, that kind of thing. So lots and lots of physicality.
Yeah, we had the new voice of Megatron from the new Netflix trilogy.
Oh, dope.
That's awesome,
Jason Moronoka. And it was like the same thing. You sounded pretty much spot on to how he did his Megatron, because it is like that.
Yeah.
Though.
Hey, don't forget the plug, man. You can't say his name.
Oh, that's right. And you could check out his episode right here on the YouTube, or you can listen to it on the podcast.
There you go.
There you go.
Is that good?
Yeah, I mean,
it's pretty good. I mean,
it wasn't spot on voice.
I'm not much of a plugger, you know what I mean?
Hey, you did good, Trav. You know this man.
I thought Banks was about to hit me with it. That's what she said. I feel.
I was gonna hit you with the that's what she said, but I was just like, should I use it or not? I don't know.
Saving it?
Yeah, I'm saving it.
Start calling you Gene Starwood. You saving that shot?
now,
Isaac. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to make one more mention of just listening to your work. I feel like you're part of that older. You have that older generation of voiceover work feel where it's there's no embarrassment for what you're gonna do. You can go in there and be wacky and kooky and crazy, and a lot of that like late 80s, early 90s Animaniacs, Spielberg, WB stuff. That you don't get. They don't make that stuff anymore for real. So I don't know if those voice actors aren't around as much, but I feel like you're in that little group of.
Yeah, well, they're definitely around. I mean, they're still active and actively doing things like, you know, you can look up any of their credits and they're still like spread throughout many projects that are out there.
It's just so much content out nowadays.
Yeah, it is. And it's interesting to kind of ride that line because I love the like bigger characters for animation, but I also do quite a bit of characters that are not, you know, cartoony per se. They're more like, you know, in this side of like Invincible, like that kind of style, like really realistic, grounded, which I do a lot of video game work, and so that's where I get my more grounded work. But yeah, I do love that like 80s or 90s, but it's awesome for me to have a full circle of those people, because like one of my favorite people in that group that I got to take classes with was Charlie Adler, who's the voice of Ickis and All Real Monsters, and he was Cow and Chicken and Cow and Chicken, and you know, lots and lots of phenomenal voices. And now he does a lot of directing for Nickelodeon and DreamWorks, and so I had the opportunity to twice now be directed by him for 2 separate projects for things, and have him know who I was. And I was like, this is Buster Bunny I'm talking. He's directing me right now. Like, this is so
we
like
were just talking about Tiny Toons.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, who was it that we were interviewing? And they said that Babs Bunny
Stephanie Sutherland.
Oh, I love Stephanie. Yes.
We have
Stephanie's a good friend of mine.
We were talking about Babs Bunny and just Tiny Toons and stuff. And
Karn.
Karn. She likes to say. So what's it called? I just they just don't make those kind of shows anymore. So even if there's people out there that can do that sort of stuff, you don't get to see them do it a whole lot because, like we were saying, they don't really make that kind of stuff. It's not prominent like it was.
I feel like the reason why is that a lot of the cartoons that we had growing up, like they were slapstick, whereas like a lot of the cartoons that you watch nowadays, they have these developing stories that carry over for seasons and seasons. Like that's the reason why you don't see stuff like that anymore. And I feel like that's the reason why like a lot of cartoons nowadays, they have these good stories, because they do have like their comedic moments, but at the end of the day, like Steven Universe, for example, you know, I mean, it's like you see from where it started at to where it ended at.
It's the same with like Owl House and all the new stuff.
It's just trends and things. Like I talk about that with commercial voiceover too. When I teach my class, talk about like go back to the 90s, like all the commercials for things are like this, you know. All the announcers had this kind of sound. Hey, come on down to Sears.
Come get a popcorn.
But now it's like, hey, you know,
like that.
Sears is a good idea. Come on down and check this out. It's like that kind of thing. It's much more real, which is just a shift with the trend. So
you got like, John Cena saying, "Come and buy a car at Dodge."
Right?
Well, just like they don't overdub trailers anymore.
It's that's
the thing. But you don't get the "in a world in a dark place" like yada 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 stuff. You know,
it's a really
clips.
Funny that you say that, because I'm friends with Don LaFontaine is that voice in a world. I'm friends with his daughter, Sky. And so I've been to his booth, which is still in his house where she grew up, obviously. And it was amazing because I sat in his chair where his microphone was. And there was papers next to me on the floor. And I was like, Sky, what are these? And she said, oh, those are all of the trailers and ads my dad did in the year leading up to his passing. I was like, just this huge stack of like, I would pick them up. I was like, this is like artifacts of voiceover lore.
Wow.
So,
Now, is she doing voiceover?
She is a little bit. Yeah, she's got some stuff that's out there, like demos and things like that. And I think she's done work. If she has, I mean, a lot of us unfortunately can't talk about what we do for years on end. So
NDAs, man.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure she's working. I just don't know exactly on what. But she's an incredible performer, so I'm sure, an amazing singer too. Like their whole family.
It's just cool following that legacy.
That's pretty dope. Now, speaking of like, not necessarily diving into the legals per se, but not the way you probably think I am. But I just had a question, since I don't think any of us have ever asked, but are you guys, the companies that you guys are signed with for voiceover, are they under contract with certain streaming services? How does that work? Like Netflix? Or...
Yeah. So that kind of stuff, I'm not really sure about those specific connections, but I do know that when the shows are created, they're obviously tied to a network that they're going to be put on. So yes, there's agreement that comes like Netflix or HBO Max or Amazon or whatever. And then once we get the roles sent to us, we kind of by default, even if it's not an explicit NDA from these companies, my agency, for example, every time I get an agency audition, it says, do not discuss this with anybody. So like, I'm just under NDA by default for all that stuff. But
yeah, I didn't know if you guys knew about that kind of stuff or if it mattered really, because
it doesn't really matter to us just because we're not
mercenaries.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're not tied to a specific company for our work. We just get hired to be the roles that we are, and they could be a whole smattering of anything. Like that's the reason that I can do. Like I'm working on 4 different projects for Marvel, a project for Apple, and a project for Disney Television Animation right now. And I can do that because it's not like the old days where you had contract players where you're signed to Universal Studios for 7 years and you can't do anything. The only time that happens is if you're on a commercial that's national, and say it's for like Burger King, you can't turn around and do a national for McDonald's until the Burger King thing comes out. So, So there's conflicts where it's like quick service food or toys or electronics where you can't do, or cars, where you can't do multiple national voices for big things like that.
Yeah, kind of like the Verizon guy switching over to T-Mobile.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like I got better service.
He was
like, hold on, what's going on?
That guy was clever.
Yeah, really smart. Really smart.
You know what's crazy? They did that in the PC guy. Like I remember, like Microsoft started doing commercials, and they used the PC guy that used to be in the Apple.
Oh yeah, I remember those. Yeah.
I was just like, hold on, what's going on here?
Was it Justin Long used to be the Dell guy?
Yeah, Justin Long.
You're getting the Dell. That was Justin Long. Right?
Justin Long. He was the Mac, and then
he was the Mac. Okay.
Yeah, and then the other guy,
the PC.
Yeah, and I forget his name, but he's great. He was in Coraline as a voice. Oh, he was the voice of the dad in Coraline. That's
wow. Was he? That was him?
That's a movie I haven't seen yet.
Oh, it's such
a...
a couple this is just a random story, but a couple Christmases ago, a friend that I went to high school with, she does arts and she builds things or whatever, and she makes really good like stuffy type classic dolls. So the girls love Coraline, so I got them replica Coraline dolls of themselves.
Yeah.
And like
with the button eyes?
With the button eyes, bro.
Nice.
Extravagant box with the bow. They pull it open. They throw that shit, dude. Like they're scared. They open it. They see themselves as the Coraline doll. They don't want nothing to do with it. And I was like,
terrifying.
Man, I thought that was gonna go way better.
Oh my goodness, Trav.
So
that's a great story, Trav. Do you still have them? What'd you do with them?
Yeah, they're up in like their little corner thing.
Jesus, Trav.
They don't sleep.
I didn't see those.
I was about to say, wow.
That's right, because they put away, sir.
You'll see
all the stuffed
super
animals, but I didn't see the dog. I mean, I would be afraid too. Like,
you'll see the movie sooner or later. One of these years.
So, we're here at the end of the interview, Isaac. So thank you so much for joining us. And when we wrap this thing up, D, he has his final 2 questions that he likes to ask. So D, go ahead and
wrap
take
it up
away.
like a Coraline, baby.
All right. So question, All right, Isaac. So question number 1: favorite 80s or 90s movie, or you can give us both.
Okay, well, I can tell you right now, it's from the 80s. My favorite movie of all time is Back to the Future. Hands down.
Hey.
Never changed.
8.10 gigawatts. All of that, whatever he said.
And
Brown, man, classic.
Yeah.
What's his? Why am I drawing a blank on his name from Back to the Future? Not Doc, but
Michael.
Michael J. Fox.
Yeah. Doesn't he voice the guy in Atlantis?
Yes. Yeah. He voices Milo J. Thatch.
There you go. There you go.
Hey, I like that connection. Now, since you were so quick on the draw with the 80s, you got to give us the 90s.
90s. Okay, yeah, that's gonna be a little tougher on me.
Is it Kazam?
Yes.
What's that?
Is it Kazam?
Is it Batman
Steel?
and Robin?
Yeah.
He said Batman and Robin.
Remember
when he pulled him out of the sand?
No, that was Batman Forever.
Yeah.
Trying to think
it's
of
still terrible. Oh god!
Well, I mean, Batman Forever wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I love Batman Forever.
Yeah, when he pulled him out of the sand, was a little corny, and the lights were weird.
Loves Batman and Robin.
Don't bring up Paul while you're in the room with me. So.
We don't talk about Paul.
Oh no. Do you have a 90s?
I mean, I got a lot of 90s.
What was the movie that? What came?
The movie that came to my head first was The Mask. That was the first movie that came.
Okay, that's a good one.
That's good.
Harry.
Well, you know what? and I want to piggyback because I mean, like you see that I'm wearing the shirt. When this episode comes out, the movie will had already
be out.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I'm so excited. Like
I am so excited. Yeah.
Yo, I can't wait to watch it. Jim Carrey, he's the man. Like, how do you feel about the announcement that Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is going to be his final film? Or do you?
Oh, I didn't even. I'm hearing that for the first time. I didn't know that. That makes me sad.
What he's saying? We'll see.
Yeah,
I think it's an April Fool's joke.
Yeah, I hope so.
He announced it on April Fool's Day. You know?
I don't know why he wouldn't.
He's a clown too, so I wouldn't put any stock into that.
Yeah. If it is, he's had a great career though. But I don't think it'll be.
Sure. You can't take anything from Carrey.
I got AD. I got to piggyback off that real quick.
Hey, go ahead, man. Hey, I'll give you a boost.
I feel like you told an emotional story at the beginning. I'm an emotional guy. What was the first film that made you cry?
Me?
Yeah.
It doesn't exist yet. It doesn't exist.
What?
I've never cried at a movie ever in my life. I know it's a weird fact about me, but yeah, not a single.
I'm kind of scared to ask my next question.
Yeah,
damn.
Not a single thing has moved me to tears.
That's wild.
Maybe someday.
I cry all the time.
Yeah, I understand the emotion behind it, but I don't know. I don't know what it is. I've cried on stage, like I do that for roles and everything. I have the ability to cry, and I have cried in my life, but it's just movies and stuff. I don't know what it is, but yeah. I accept
it. You don't need the what is it called? The fake tears.
No, you know what I did for Tick Tick Boom actually for that moment when I'm doing the song Why, because I play piano, so I was actually playing the song Why while singing it.
Nice,
The same vocal teacher that told me never let him see you sweat. His name was James. He was a big father figure in my life. He passed away because COVID took him away, and I thought about his memory. Thank you. I thought about his memory and what he gave me, and it just flooded everything that I needed to fuel that moment. So I use real things. I use memories and things like that. So, yeah.
In other words,
you hear that. I know. What movie was it? Why Did I Get Married Too? When Janet Jackson was filming that, Michael Jackson had just passed away. So during the scene where like she was destroying everything in the house, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie, but it's just like Tyler Perry's just like, just go all out. You know what I'm saying? And it was real when she was doing it. So like, I totally understand that,
Yeah. That's it.
Whew. Well, Trav, did you piggy?
I piggied. He shut me down. He said, "I don't cry over that fake. That fake stuff."
He said, "I'm good."
Yeah.
Okay, so the second question: growing up, was there anything that really spooked you, scared you, or stayed with you? Whether it was a creepy theme song, a scene from a movie.
Okay. Good question.
Grimace from the old school.
That was terrifying.
He was huge. He looks like he could eat. Like, I was gonna say, kids.
You know what this?
In the theater production, they did Gremlins in the trailer. You know what I mean? So I mean, not Gremlins.
Grimace.
What's the
McDonald's?
The guy with the weird face.
Ronald.
Hogan.
Mike. Hamburglar.
Kid movie, man.
Oh, I don't know.
Who's the guy with the weird? What?
Guy with the weird.
Goonies.
Oh, the Goonies. Oh, yeah, Sloth.
Okay. Yeah.
So funny because
that's the shot in the dark. Yeah, go ahead.
That's one of the songs we did but that's one of the songs in the review was also Goonies.
Yeah, that's why I was bringing it up.
Oh yeah.
In the trailer, they show him.
Goonies, so that's I don't like. Yeah, scary. I think for me, this is just the first thing popped in my head, but as a kid, is from Powerpuff Girls. The character of him always terrified me.
Oh yeah, he was pretty.
I was like, I hate how he talks. I hate that it's got reverb on it. I hate that it like goes from super high to super low, super quickly. I just, as a kid, I was like, I do not like. Yeah, weird claw hands. Yeah.
That is an interesting answer.
And now, are you excited that the Powerpuff Girls CW show isn't happening?
It's weird. I didn't even know about it until it was gone already. Like it was happening. So yes and no. I don't know. I was like, okay. I guess it's not. Okay.
It's just one of those. I mean, like if if they wanted to do like a live action Powerpuff Girls movie where like they were still kids, then that would be one thing. But
that would be sellable, I think.
Yeah, but to make them young adults, I'm just like, nobody wants to see the Powerpuff Girls.
That would have been so weird if they
who they're dating.
Well, my thesis was they shouldn't be superheroes. They should just be like investigators or some sort of
nobody was like a Scooby-Doo.
I'm not trying to see them like solve the mystery, and it's like
Nancy Drew it.
We caught you, and then the cops have him handcuffed, and was like, I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for these meddling girls.
It was you.
That would have been weird.
I want to see them beat Mojo Jojo up to a pulp. Like it made no sense that when we were watching this show as kids that it's like they were messing this monkey up. Like it was messed up, and it was a kid show. You won't see that in kid shows nowadays, but
you won't.
That's the end of the episode. Isaac, thank you so much for joining us. Before we let you go, let everybody in social media land know where they can find you at.
So you can find me at Instagram and Twitter, IRS Voices, my initials, Isaac Robinson Smith. So at IRS Voices, and then Facebook, Isaac Robinson Smith, and that's it. That's all I got. But yeah, follow me there. See my stuff. That's where I put everything that I'm doing.
The man.
It's crazy. As soon as you say IRS, like I automatically started thinking about the wrestler IRS.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say taxes.
Yeah, that too.
That was his gimmick.
Yeah, that was his gimmick. He was the tax man.
Yeah,
really?
Exactly.
Yeah. He was.
It's actually Bray Wyatt's dad.
Yeah, Bray Wyatt's dad.
Okay.
So with that being said, Trav, let everybody in social media land know where they can find you at.
I am on the Instagram at ZK Audio. I'm on the Twitter at TRAVIOSZK, where I'm also on Letterboxd, ranking and rating my daily movie watches. D, my man with the rasp. Where they finding you at?
Yeah, you can find me at Rebellious _D23 at Instagram.com. And Banks, if they need a hero, where can they find one?
Hey, I love that you was doing the Peacemaker dance, and you can find me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, at King Benji _Banks on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on Facebook at Benjamin Banks. I should be the first person to pop up. If not, then I need to contact Mr. Zuckerberg. Thank you again, Isaac, so much for joining us up here on another episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. You are so welcome. Everybody, make sure that you check out some more of our interviews that we have here on the channel, along with reviews and reaction videos. Our podcast with brand new episodes every Tuesday, and then you can watch the videos of those interviews up here on YouTube as well. Like I always say, keep that pinky up, stay positive. We'll see you next time on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Peace.
Thanks again, everybody, for watching another episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe to the channel. Podcast, we got that too. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and hit that bell for further episodes and notifications. Thanks a lot to our patrons. And if you don't mind, join the Patreon. We'll be having new specials coming up soon.